that they are building their businesses in a way that's very centered around the artist community and focused around really just creating a great environment. And so, people like Ellipsy, people like Let's Go Haze, Cloud9, Monique Winning, Gummy Beats, myself. And so there's a bunch of people that you can look at in regards to studying what are they doing, how are they building community, but still also being involved in the producer community. And everybody does it differently. Everybody, gets involved in the producer community differently. But you will notice a common theme when it comes to people that are actually successful, and of course, like DJ Pain One, and people like that. So the next thing I want to talk about is building your brand. And yo, what's going on overseas? Yo, I gotta take a moment real quick to shout out overseas. If y'all haven't checked out overseas, you got to. I mean, he's been killing it. I've been following his journey for several years now. And he's just an incredibly talented producer, just creator, and got a lot of cool things going on. So shout out to him. I appreciate you coming in, just to listen to me talk. So I want to talk about brand building next, right? So the mini producer brand has been around. If anyone is new to me, I've been selling beats online since 2014, and I have had a lot of different experiences. But I don't just sell beats online. I also do other things. I've worked with companies like Coca Cola. I have a documentary on Snapchat. I've done stuff for the Paralympics, and just a ton of different brands. And something that I have learned in my experience of brand building is authenticity. I know it seems so played out when people say like you gotta be authentic and you gotta, but it's so true because a lot of times what I see in the producer community is people are trying to just do what other people are doing because they see what works. And there are some aspects of like observing what works and taking some of those things into what you're doing, but also making it your own. And some of the best brands that I see, for example, we got overseas, we have the other people that I mentioned earlier. Everybody has found their own thing that makes them them because nobody can be you. And I know that sounds probably super cliche, but there is only one you. And you got to find out what makes you special and what can you do that offers value, um, to the world and to the community and who you're looking to work with. So for me, I found that like my personality, people like my personality, people like to be around me, which is really cool. And I had to come to a point of being okay with showing myself on camera because I never wanted to show myself on camera. And so I used to be that type of guy that just was behind the screen and making videos with my beats and the typical like producer thing to do. And I know everybody has a different opinion on if you have to show your face to like be successful. And I mean, I feel like if you can be creative around not showing your face, then you could make it work. However, I have seen a lot more success showing my face and sharing my story because everybody has a story to share and everyone has experiences that you can share and put into your actual brand. And so for me, I am very noticeably disabled. So, that's something that's been part of my story and my journey that I've been able to share in my brand. But it's not just that, right? It's not just about being disabled. However, it is a part of it. So maybe, you're a parent and you have a great relationship with your kids. Well, maybe you want to involve them into your content somehow. Or there's so many things that you can be able to do to really craft the brand. And when I say brand, I know it's like, oh, brand, it sounds so professional and all that stuff, but like really creating this brand story that is yours, right? Because something that has worked for me is no matter what kind of trends happen, I am still relevant because I found a way to make myself relevant. And I don't have to follow certain trends or certain styles, sounds, whatever anyone else is doing, because I'm doing what works for me. And then that just stays around. Because anyone could tell you that has been in the producer community for a while, even being around for the time that I've been in the game for like 8 years is kind of a long time in the sense of like some people either they fall off because it just gets too much and they kind of give up, or you know yeah, it just kind of falls off. So the people that I saw that were really sticking around for like years and years, they solidified themselves, whether it was with their sound, with their branding. Like I mentioned, people like DJ Pain One have been around for a long time. I've been watching his content for a while. You got the superstar O's of the world, Tone Jones, and a bunch of other people. So these are the things that like you got to look at. Why are these people around? Could it be that their beats are great? Yeah, beats are awesome, but there's plenty of people that make great beats that have not stuck around, right? But solidifying yourself and your authentic voice and branding is super important. And that's something that has always won for me by being myself. And I think a lot of people are afraid to be themselves. And they're afraid of rejection. Maybe they're afraid of what people are going to say about them. But here's the secret of the day. Everyone's gonna have something to say about you. Whether whether you're the greatest, nicest person in the whole world, someone's gonna have something to say about you. And so you have to come to a point where you're okay with that. Because like shoot, people, how many people have things to say about me, like positive, negative, whatever. But hey, if people aren't talking about you, then you got to do some more stuff. No, but I think that people, the sooner that you're yourself and you find what that looks like for you, the sooner that you're going to be able to see the success that you're looking for. Because a lot of producers that I know that are doing super well, they have found their own voice, their own style, sound, whatever that looks like. And even if they like saw another producer and their sound and kind of took some things from that, they still made it their own. And same thing with branding. We can all observe what other people are doing and say, "Oh, that's really cool. How can I, have a twist on this and do these kind of things?" So I just think that's super important for producers to know that it is okay to be yourself and that you can find success by doing what you do. And so I just wanted to mention that. And then as for selling beats online, because I know that's the first thing I started off with. So me personally, I feel like people make selling beats online way harder than it needs to be. Because like I know I did start kind of at a different time. I mean, back in 2014, some people would say it was easier to sell beats because there weren't as many people uh like selling beats online. It was like the SoundClick days and stuff like that. But I still feel like with everything that you have access to, especially with social media and just all the resources and tools, you can still sell beats online. Like it's not that difficult to sell beats in regards to everything that you have access to. I think it has to be a mentality shift because the biggest thing that I talked about is branding. A lot of people that are selling uh, lots of beats online have a really really solid brand. And yes, do people have placements? Do people have all these things? But there are plenty of people that have placements that are not making money. So I feel like branding is a very big thing because if people trust you, people are going to buy from you. If people don't trust you, they don't have a reason to buy. So a lot of producers that I've seen that are also successful outside of myself is they have created brands that people trust, that people can say, "Oh, okay, I can rely on that person." Not only do they have quality stuff, because of course having quality beats is important, but it's also subjective because what you think is quality may not be quality to someone else. And so, um, when I first started making beats, in my opinion, my beats were not that great, but I still made sales. So, it's really all subjective, which is not to say put out, the most horrible thing that you can think of and hope it works, but it is to say that branding does come into a lot of it and also having the quality to back it up and just a nice catalog as well. So I think that for selling beats online, people would tell you like, oh, your pricing and all of those things. And to be quite honest, I mean, pricing can be important, but for me personally, I've sold beats at various price points. The most I've sold beats just starting at have been like 100 um, on my online beat store, and they've sold for that price. And that's without, I guess, huge placements that, people are talking about. But a lot of it has to do, I feel like, with branding, more so than anything else. But I mean, you also have to be able to study because I think that's what a lot of producers could do more of is actually studying and researching and looking at industries outside of the music industry. I personally look at e-commerce a lot because e-commerce has a lot of principles and just tactics that I've been able to apply to my own business that have helped me see more success, especially when it comes to email marketing and branding and things like that. And so I think that those are the types of things that I've utilized to help me build because to be quite honest, in my opinion, at least when I was first starting out, there really weren't that many producers that were talking about like building a successful producer brand as there are now. But even now, I mean, to be honest, most of the content that you see online outside of like actual consultations, because when you do consultations, it's different because you're actually talking to that person, getting their experiences. So I'm not talking about consultations. I'm more so talking about online content. A lot of times when you see online content, it's generally the same information. Being consistent, they were consistently uploading quality beats, and that's pretty much the basis. And they built up an email list. Maybe they did free beats, free downloads, stuff like that. So thank you for everyone that's been joining in. So they did stuff like that. It's pretty much all kind of the same information, and we get it. Yeah, be consistent, have quality beats. Do some email marketing, maybe offer some free downloads. Blah blah blah. We like okay, but nobody that I really see talks about like the branding because I feel like a lot of people are just so focused on creating content, for their channels to just make a video, but really breaking down like, okay, but are you just selling beats because your beats are great? Because your beats are great, but why am I not selling, right? So these are these are the things that I feel like people need to talk more about is like building a solid brand is so vital. Like it really changes the game. Like yes, being consistent is great, um, and all of these things, but building your brand is what's really gonna help you win. I personally feel like, and not that's what's helped me. I mean, I don't know, if anyone else, maybe even if overseas has time to say anything, because he can send a request. But I feel like building a solid brand definitely has helped me personally and I've seen has helped a lot of people get that consistent sales because along with being consistent in everything that you do, it's just going to coincide and everything's going to really come together in regards to what you're doing. But I would say studying, 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 really researching. All right, we got a request. Let's get it. All right, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, mini producer, this is Cineo. How you
What's
doing?
going on, Cineo? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I wanted to touch on a point that you had brought up and kind of ask you a little bit more in depth about it.
Yeah, what's
Uh,
going on?
you had brought up how you put out music at first, right? You made sales on what you can see in hindsight may not
Yeah,
have been your best quality, right?
right.
Now, would you say the marker of your standard of like your quality, do you feel like it always shifts? I feel like a lot of creatives are perfectionists and we get
Mm.
so caught up in our mind of like, oh, I can't release this or I can't put this out. Is it one of those things you have to challenge yourself every time you get ready to put something else out? Or is it something that over time you gradually just become more distant from where it's like, you know what, I know I got this.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that second part that you said, becoming more distant, because something that I've noticed is a lot of us creatives, we're very emotionally attached to the beats that we make, right? So when we make a beat, it's like, oh man, I don't know if this is good. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's that great. Oh, why would someone buy? You know what I mean? Like we're really overthinking it, and when you put that energy out into it, it stops you from doing it, right? Because perfectionism really can cause a delay in what you actually need to get done, right? So if you're like, I'm not gonna put out this beat until it's perfect, well, now you have two beats on your beat store and you're wondering why I'm not selling beats. So I feel like for me, I had to take away that stress and pressure on myself, because the more that you do, the better you're going to get. And so I think that that's a really important thing to remember, that you're always going to be improving and you're always going to be getting better. And again, everything is subjective. So I do tell producers, if you have a top selling beat and it's not your favorite beat, it's not about what you feel. The numbers are not going to lie, the analytics are not going to lie. You have to kind of differentiate your personal feelings about your work and just put it out there. The market's going to tell you, artists will tell you how they feel about it, and you just got to keep going. Does that answer your question?
No, most definitely. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I mean, it sounds like it's progress over perfection.
Yes, man, that is the quote of the day. Progress over perfection. Exactly, because you're gonna get better as you make more progress. It's just inevitable. And so, you know, and artists are gonna like what they're gonna like. I have that even still, where artists buy beats from me and I'm like, you like that, and it just is what it is. So like I said, just keep putting stuff out there, and the market, the artist, all of that, it'll come together. They'll tell you. Did you have any other questions?
I actually did. I have one more.
Yeah.
So I've done like production meetups, with more industry professionals, and I
Mhm.
feel like this is a message that I had to accept over time, and I wonder if you kind of seen yourself adapt to it as well. I was told, right, it was like at the time trap beats that were all
Right.
the rage, right? They were in heavy
Right.
in demand. He was like, try it out. Like, just try it out. You'll find your voice within it. It may be hard at first, but try it out because you still have people that are seeking this out. Do you
Right.
feel like that same thing happened to you where you noticed there was a demand for a specific like subgenre of beat where you were then like, all right, I need to learn this. I need to figure out what's my voice or what's my platform within this to then cater to the heavy demand for whatever the what's hot for the moment.
So for me personally, I didn't pay attention to what was trending. I really still don't. I don't know what beats are in quotation supposed to sound like. I really just made whatever I wanted to, and that's what worked for me. Because when I did find myself trying to go with what everyone else was doing or what was the standard, I just realized that like people weren't really gravitating to them as much. It's just weird, right? Because you're thinking like, man, it's trending, so like people should. That's what's hot. Like they should be one of my beats. But I think that people like when you're just sticking to what is authentic to you. So when I make a beat, I just make whatever works. And if people love it, then that's great. If they don't, I just keep making them. And I found out for myself that like I'll have artists tell me, yo, I love your stuff that's not trap beats. I didn't realize that. I thought they were, because I hear that, oh, trap beats are, still the wave and the thing, but I didn't realize that they would like other styles that I created. So I have just really stuck to making whatever feels good to me. And, again, kind of like what I said, you're going to see what people kind of gravitate towards. And of course, you can still create those styles, but never be afraid to, venture outside of that or do other styles, because for me personally, it's helped that I do other styles from the standpoint of they've been able to be used for other opportunities. So, like recently, I had like a reggaeton beat used for a Corona social media ad, the beer company, and so if I just was making trap, that opportunity might not have happened. So I'm always prepared because I do make a lot of different styles, and that's just helped me. But like I said, you just got to find what particular style of sound works for you, and the rest is really gonna come. I don't pay attention to the trends.
No, for sure. Right on. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Did you have any other questions outside of those? Those have been really great.
This is my last one. This is my last
Of
one.
course.
How important is discipline to your practice, right? Like, are you disciplined where it's like, okay, every day at this time or every day at some point, I just gotta get in the studio. I gotta get in front of, my software or whatever I'm using to create.
So for me, I've talked about this, but so I have autism, so I really actually do struggle with this. And so something that I've had to do for myself is setting like alarms, and that's actually really helped me um get some kind of structure. Also using a calendar has been really helpful. I use my phone to like be like, okay, I need to do this. And yeah, so I have like more so a routine of things that I know I need to do. Some examples are like email marketing. I look at, okay, what emails am I going to send out for my list this week? Um, what beats, how many beats am I going to need to make? You know, am I going to be submitting for these opportunities? And kind of breaking down and looking at different things that I can do in regards to what my schedule looks like. And it looks like uh, he's not on. Wait, yeah, he's a listener. Okay, maybe it went off. I don't know. So the point of the matter is, when it comes to my schedule, I really just try to structure in a way where I have alarms set. I use my calendar a lot just to keep myself disciplined, because discipline is super important, because it's easy to talk yourself out of not doing something. And so I realized that once I kind of set the tone of like, okay, I need to get this done, it just I'm able to get it done way easier, whether that's uploading beats, submitting for different opportunities, emailing people back, um, you know, things like that. That's kind of what I do and how I'm able to structure, because discipline is super important, especially for us producers and creatives. All right, let's see. There we go. Okay, were you able to hear
Yeah,
me?
I did. Thank you for that. I just wanted to say I appreciate it. You know, I can understand that a lot of the times, you know, it's this information could be behind a paywall, right? And so I just want to take the time to say, you know, thank you for sharing and giving us insight to your to the way you do things. Right on.
Man, thank you. I appreciate you for joining in. And you know, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to request again and ask.
For sure. Right on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sure. So I love the fact that we're able to have these conversations. And something that I think is really cool that, was just mentioned is that this information would typically, y'all are having to pay for it, which I got to talk about this. I know this is probably, well, it's in the and more, I suppose. But I don't, if I'm going to charge people for something, like it would have to be like consultations. And even then, I don't really do as many consultations as I used to do. One, because just time is very valuable. And I want to make sure that whenever I do a consultation with someone, I'm giving the best that I can, to people. And so I do consultations from, time to time. But I really just love being able to put out this information and putting it out for free, because I feel like a lot of these topics are not really discussed and not talked about in the producer community. And I think a lot of times people kind of want to be secretive and be like, "Oh yeah, you'll just have to find out." And I don't like that kind of energy. I don't think that there should have to be a secret, in regards to your process. I love being able to share my process with other people. I love being able to share my process with all of y'all, because here's the honest truth. A lot of people want to be able to make a living off of selling their music online. And it's completely understandable. And something that I want to tell y'all is, don't put so much pressure on yourself to solely make money selling beats online. And here's what I mean by that: you can do plenty of other things. Actually, they tell you that a lot of the millionaires and billionaires and all the people in the world that are making a lot of money, they have at least 7 streams of income. Seven. Not one, not two, but 7 streams of income. So if you have skills, and all of us have skill sets that we can offer as services, look at that and say, okay, what can I offer? Am I really good at mixing my beats? Do people tell me like, yo, your beats are fantastic. Like they're the best sound I've ever heard. Okay, that could be a service. So now you got something. Hey, if you want your beats mixed to top quality, like mine are, here are some examples. It's gonna cost you X amount of dollars, right? So there's a surface service. So now you don't have to be like, oh, I just have to sell beats. Okay, so now you got that. If people say, man, I really love how you make your melodies. Oh man, really? Yeah. I made this loop pack that you can get for this amount of dollars. So now you have another stream of income. So now you're at three streams of income. You see what I'm saying? These are all the things. Oh man, have you ever thought about doing merch? Like I love your logo. I think it's unique. I'd love to see that on a shirt. I'd love to see it on a hoodie. So now you got four streams of income. Yeah, if you get where I'm going with this, I can go on and on. So these are the things that you gotta look at because a lot of pressure is put on just selling your beats online. You gotta be successful selling beats online. I personally, okay. We got the request. All right, I must have said something golden. What's going on? All right, what's happening?
You just triggered another question.
Yeah,
So,
I figured.
so,
What's going
so
on?
how important is it? Because I mean, bringing up seven streams of income to me sounds like you
Yeah.
take the time to study about some level of entrepreneurialism. How important
So, high level.
how important
Yeah.
is that, right, to add to your acumen as a business? Because at the end of the day, right, you're creative, but you understand, right, there's a market, there's demand, and you have to know how to craft and meet that. But now even more, having multiple streams of income. So how important is the studying or the knowledge? How do you attain it for you to be able to keep going on the creative side, but also keep being informed?
Okay, that is a great question. So I believe that the studying is super important. However, the most important part is the implementation. Okay, is implementing what you've learned, right? Because you can watch all the videos in the world and not actually do anything, right? So